So,
How much of a collision did you actually watch?
I zipped through some things. I wasn't trying to critique anybody's matches, and probably a good thing for all of them that I wasn't. And this is all the people that don't make Dynamite anymore. This is where they've gone to engage in some type of wrestling somewhere. But they've got a little run going. I wanted to see the look of the show, and I wanted to see, what the ambiance was there. The people seem to be excited. We'll see if these people, many of whom I'm sure will come back every time they can, will be as thrilled after they've seen this 12 times in the next 8 weeks. We'll see what happens. But I got to mention that they're on a run. Brian, they've got a little streak going on Collision. You know what it is?
No, I don't know. I don't watch Collision that much.
2 injuries in 2 weeks in a row.
Who was last week?
Apparently last week, they knocked Dalton Castle out.
Oh, I just heard he's out for the rest of the year.
Yeah, but apparently they brought Mike Tyson in to pummel him about the head and face.
It was Roddy Strong.
Well, God damn. Roddy, I'm sorry for everything bad I ever may have said about you. Please don't hurt me. What the fuck did he do to him? Hit him with a sledgehammer?
Let me see if I can find out. I'll look it up right now.
But yeah, because I just saw the news that he is out the rest of 2024 from being knocked out legitimately, as the news sites report it these days, in a match with Roddy Strong. And I mean, was this a dive gone awry? I'm sure Roddy didn't just draw back and punch. Maybe a kick. I can't imagine he just drew back and punched him in the fucking jaw.
Flying knee to the head.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That
knocked him out.
Bad.
That sounds really bad.
A flying knee to the head. Maybe he needs to get some advice from Brutus Beefcake on a flying knee to the head.
This is why wrestling 2 was so dangerous.
Well, there you go. And the $1 million knee lift. And apparently this is going to be renamed the 6-month knee lift because it'll knock you out of the business for 6 months.
Well, I didn't see that, but I wanted to see the look of Collision 2 and I forgot it was on. So I tuned in, 15, 20 minutes into the show. Literally, if you want to figure out when I tuned in, it was the 5 seconds before Sky Blue got hurt.
Well, wouldn't you know who won the pony?
That was the first thing I saw in the new Collision.
No, hold on. I'll just pump the brakes there, young man. You are a young man and still have the fruit of your vigor in your loins and all that type of thing. You mean to tell me with all of the things that you say about Sky Blue, that just happened to be when you tuned in was when Sky Blue was on the screen? Just complete coincidence.
Yeah, I don't think I say that much about Sky Blue.
In a million years.
I don't think I say that much about Sky Blue. Also, I didn't know the rundown of the show, what was going to be on. I was watching the Mets. Actually, the Mets were over. No, the Mets were over. I was watching Svengoolie, Dracula.
Was Mrs. Met?
No.
At the game?
No, but a lot of people did a Google search for Mrs. Met after we talked about her during the Naomi review, and they understand.
And did she ever get custody of all the little ball boys?
No, the ball boys and ball girls. No, she. I don't think there's a custody issue. I think there's a amicability between Mr. and Mrs. Met.
You're always talking about Sky Blue and her various assets. And
it sounds like you're the one talking about it. I barely ever mentioned Sky Blue.
I remember you. Who is it that you're talking about all the time and describing their various attributes?
Tell me, I'd like to know.
Well, I thought it was. I'm sure some of the readers, some of the listeners.
Yes, some of the readers. Oh boy,
some of the listeners will quote us chapter and verse on which programs you've talked about Anna J and Sky
Anna J. I've talked about Anna J without any question. I ain't
talking about Sky Blue. Well, Sky Blue got hurt. What the? And they just stopped the match.
It blew.
Well, she blew out her ankle apparently. Because what's her name?
Hikaru Shida.
Hikaru Shida dove over the top rope and just kind of went straight down. And instead of Sky Blue looked like she was going to catch her like for a crossbody, but it was more like a fucking underhanded catch of a goddamn sack of wheat. And she just crumpled right on her legs, or landed on her legs, and Sky Blue crumpled underneath her.
And you knew she was hurt because the camera panned all the way back so you could see the entire building looking up to see what's going on.
Yes, they were looking up to see if you were looking up to see if I was looking up to see if you were looking up at me.
Did you see? They called the match. Did you see like how they handled it?
Well, yeah, that's the thing is that was the break spot. Now here's the thing. God damn it! I swear to fucking Christ. So what is unfolded on the screen here is that the break spot is supposed to be the dive over the top rope. Like they never go to break on any of the wrestling programs on a dive over the top. So this is uncharted territory. But when they land, boom. You can kind of tell it looks kind of awkward, and the referee goes down there and is checking instantly. And old Sky Blue is obviously selling in a way that it doesn't look like she's going to get up here for a second. And the referee goes to Sheeta and kind of gives her the Iggy. Nobody in the truck, nobody at Gorilla. Who would be at Gorilla to make that call? Is Tony there on Saturday nights, or when did they tape this on Tuesday afternoon at 3:30? But nobody would, instead of saying go to break, said wait a minute, she might be hurt. We might not need a break, because they had 10, 15 seconds there to visualize what I just described to you, and they go to the fucking break. So in the break, the referee
picture in picture.
So you're seeing it next to the goddamn pimple cream commercial. The referee obviously calls, here comes the doctor, and Sheeta is walking around and parading around, and I don't even know if anybody's talking to her for a while. And Sky Blue's not getting up. And they call it off, and Sheeta walks to the back. They shoot her in picture is walking like she's going to catch a cab. And it was in picture. They helped Sky Blue out still. Sky Blue out her ankle. They helped Sky Blue out. Did they not? In the picture, was she still there when they came back?
No, she was gone, I think, by the time they came back. And then the next thing we saw was the stage.
Well, yes. And then when they come back from the break, so the referee has run up there and told fucking Sheeta, come back out. And I think they had a wide shot for a little while. And then Sheeta comes back out on the stage so the referee can raise her hand. And they tell people then, including us in television land, that, the match was stopped. Sky Blue was hurt, so Sheeta's the win. Then she turns around and walks back through the thing. What the fuck? They could have goddamn stuck with the shot they had for a fucking minute, registered the whole thing with her being hurt, and gone to their break and come back on the other side without that bit of frivolity and gone on with their program. But it just, oh my God.
Hey, let me ask you a question that came to me watching this, and then I noticed it again or thought about it again later in the show when I had it on. I just looked up, and it was another moment like this. Not like this, not an injury. Lately, we see a lot in both companies of referees clearly leaning over to a wrestler, asking them if they're okay, then hitting the button and talking back to the back and letting them know the wrestler's okay.
Yes.
Is there a way to do that so it's not so obvious that the wrestler is checking to see if the professional wrestler's okay for clearance to continue? Like, it's just, there's something about it that takes me out of things. When all of a sudden you see the referee clearly communicating to other people and clearly checking to see if the hurt wrestler is really hurt or working. Like, it's just...
Yeah, and I don't know. I think part of it comes from, I don't know how much money they're spending over there. I don't know if you see it as much in the WWE with the referee talking back, do you? Or do you know that they're able to talk to the referee? Do we see the referee talking back, or is this an AEW thing?
It's a WWE thing, too. Anytime you see someone...
Okay.
If you see the girls do a dive and they're on the floor, as soon as everyone lands, the referees just run over to everyone's face to communicate with him. So then the wrestler can't even sell that they're like, dazed or anything because you immediately have to see them talk back to the referee. I notice it all the time.
Yeah, and where I was going with that was now that they got more money to spend. See, back in my day, kid, and I mean even, 10, 15 years ago, most of the time the referee did not have the ability to talk back. They could hear, they could not communicate back. So we didn't have a problem with them hitting a goddamn button on their hip, right? And that is something that needs to be addressed. But at the same time, again, this is all sleight of hand. If you could only talk to the referee, then what I would do when I was producing in a truck, once I've established he can hear me at the top of the segment, hey, Earl Hebner, if you can hear me, rub your stomach. And he'd rub his stomach and we'd see it on the hard camera, right? Nobody's looking. So in that way we know. And then you've got signs, either, depending on the referee or what the situation is. If you tell him to do something, a guy's he's going to work his fucking right arm like he just sprained his fucking shoulder on that last count. Or he's going to pat his knee. Or he's going to bend over in a crouch at whatever the fuck. You can have a visual read on the referee that you can get because you've always got the hard camera up in the truck, regardless of whether they've taken it on the program video feed or not. And so you're talking to him and telling him to tell him 2 minutes left, and then he'll make your motion. So that he did that. And nobody saw through that shit. But as they get a bigger budget and fancier equipment, now I'm surprised they don't look like they're at a goddamn Wendy's drive-thru. Anyway, pull forward, please, for your high spot.
Hey, by the way, you missed an injury. You said that last week Dalton Castle got injured. The week before, Rio broke her arm.
Oh, shit. Well, okay, it's a three-peat. Then I forgot about that. All said, so that was on Collision. So, Rio. And then Dalton Castle, and now Sky. Do you think they'll have a rehabilitation sweepstakes where the one that can get out of rehab and get back in the ring the quickest is the goddamn winner?
Maybe they could do like some kind of WWE type supernatural thing, like a Wyatt 6 type group that's injuring anyone who appears on Collision. Pretty soon there'll be no one left.
I think what they ought to do is everybody that has been injured, they ought to come out with a goddamn artificial body part, whatever was injured. One guy comes out with a fucking titanium steel leg. One guy comes out with a fucking super arm.
How about an intergender all-injury battle royal?
But the only thing is you have to be thrown over the bottom rope because nobody's ambulatory enough to get anybody over the top rope. And they could all be wheeled in on a gurney.
Well, I mean, that part maybe, the wheeling in part, but I think, if you're not going to go over the top rope, you're kind of going against the whole idea of a battle royal. Even a middle rope, the bottom rope, there's no point to it.
Well, they used to, when they would have a midget battle royal, when they'd have all the midgets booked on a show, they would make it over the second rope was the elimination.
If you're going to do an injury battle royal, and you got some real talent in there, Jamie Hayter, Riho, Sky Blue, Dalton Castle, all the girls. No, you got a lot of talent in there. If you're going to do this injury battle royal, I had some sort of stupid question I was going to ask that I already forgot about. If you're going to do an injury battle royal, yeah, why not? I mean, you can get the legless guy back. And by the way, are you allowed to be in the injury battle royal if you say you're not injured, but AEW says you are?
Well, that's another thing that's changed. Because back in my day, kids, when I was working in the offices, we had to monitor these wrestlers because if they were on guarantees, they would say they were hurt and get their money and we'd never see them and they really wouldn't be hurt. But now it's the opposite. They're getting their money, but they're saying they're not hurt when they're actually hurt.
One last thing on this.
Generation.
One last thing on this. An injury like this happens, the Sky Blue injury. It happens to any wrestler in a match 35 years ago. The referee does not have a headset. What happens? What would be the difference? How would it take place? What would happen?
Well, part of it is, it's the talent. And let's face it, this was not an important match in the overall scheme of things. It was not for the AEW World Heavyweight title. It was not a big angle on national television. It was going to lead to, WrestleMania, whatever the fuck. It was a TV match. It would probably, in those days, have happened at a house show event. And if a guy or girl in that position went down and said, I'm fucked and I can't do this, and they're on the floor, the referee would told the other person, roll in and I'll count him out, because there's nothing else to fucking do. He can't get back in. You didn't see that many injuries, again, to be honest with you, that somebody was so, debilitated that they couldn't finish the match. They would gut it out to whatever level they needed to. Again, if it was a preliminary match, just fucking sunset flip me, something, just small package me. Got to go. I'm hurt. That type of thing. If it was a territory main event, they would try to get whatever the point of the finish was across that would lead to whatever that was called, and then, get back and reevaluate from there. But with a lot of these guys and girls, they just think they're supposed to just at any point get in there and fucking, it's just a flesh wound, and go soldier on no matter how badly they're hurt and no matter how unimportant their match. So that's kind of what would have gone on then. But now they've got a different mindset, and the referees and people have to protect them from themselves. But I've mentioned it before, but I saw the guy in Louisville Gardens. There's a guy named John Rogers. He never went anywhere. I don't even know if you could Wikipedia him. But he was Crazy Luke Graham's tag team partner against, Tommy Gilbert and Ray Candy, I believe. And Tommy Gilbert suplexed Rogers, and it broke. His leg folded up underneath him when he landed instead of taking a flat back bump. And he broke his fucking lower leg, whatever bone that is, in between your knee and your ankle. And he couldn't get up. It was flopping from side to side, boy. But they were supposed to win the match, because they were supposed to come back with a return or whatever the fuck. It was Tommy Gilbert and Luke Graham was where they were going, and they were trying to get there. And so they fiddle-fucked around for a minute talking to the referee, and Ray Candy came in and drew him, and Luke Graham used his taped thumb and jabbed Tommy Gilbert in the fucking throat, and he fell backwards over Rogers, who hooked his leg 1, 2, 3, and then they carried Rogers out of the fucking ring. I don't think he was going to get up and fucking soldier on for the good of the game any further than that.